Okay, good morning. Magandang buhay mga kapatid. Sa pagkakataon na to, ang pag-uusapan po natin ay patungkol po sa asset management. And hopefully, sa puntong ito ay may matutunan po tayo regarding managing asset. Specifically, para po ito sa mga property custodian. So pong tatalakayin po natin ay natutunan ko po ito during our division seminar about asset management.
Pero huwag pong kalimutang mag-subscribe at i-click ang bell for more updates.
Asset management. Most of us, ako personally ay pagdating po sa pagmamanage, especially sa mga asset ng school, ay talagang medyo wala pa po tayong gaanong alam po dyan. And hopefully, sa pamagitan po ng presentation na to ay marami po tayong matutunan. Asset, when we say asset, these are resources it refers to resources controlled by an entity as a result of past events and from which future economic benefits or service potential are expected to flow to the entity. Resources controlled by an entity. Results from past events from which merong economic benefit or service which are potential or expected to flow to the entity. If an expenditure is instead consumed within the current period, it is classified as an expense. Kapag yung isang expenditure consumed within the current period, hindi po siya asset. Instead, it is classified as an expense. Meron po tayong classification of asset. Okay, take note ha. We have classification of asset. Meron po tayong tinatawag na short-term asset at meron din pong long-term asset. Ano po yung difference of this classification of asset? When we say short-term asset, it refers to cash. Oh, may cash ka ba? Marketable securities, accounts receivables, or prepaid assets. So, yun po yung short-term assets. Ano naman yung kaibahan ng short-term sa long-term? Ano naman yung long-term? Ang long-term asset, it refers to land, buildings, office equipment, furniture, and fixtures, and then softwares. So, long-term and short-term. Mabilis maubos at matagal mawala yung long-term asset. Mabilis maubos yung short-term, matagal naman mawala yung long-term. So, that's the classification of asset. Okay? The problem is, maybe we have these kinds of assets. Meron po tayong ganito mga asset. But then, the problem is how to manage asset. Especially for the property custodians sa school. Paano ba i-manage yung mga asset ng school? When we say asset management, it is a systematic process of deploying, systematic process of deploying, operating, maintaining, upgrading, and disposing of assets cost effectively. So, isa po sa mga problem po natin sa mga properties ng isang institution, kung paano po i-deploy or na i-deploy man, kung paano i-operate or marunong i-operate. Number one problem here is how to maintain these assets. So, common problem po ito sa mga institution like schools. Maintaining those assets na ipinagkatiwala po sa atin. Asset management also refers to the office administration function of the government in the efficient acquisition, utilization, and disposal of properties and equipment. So, another thing, disposal. Kapag government properties, hindi po basta-basta nagdi-dispose. Na hindi porkit sira, tapon agad yan. May process pa na kailangan ayusin bago po ma-dispose yung isang government property. It also involves proper custodianship, inventory, storage, and insurance property. Kaya po yung mga property custodians, meron pong yearly inventory po yan. Depende sa property custodian kung gaano kaluwag yung kanyang schedule. Pero as much as possible, inventory is necessary. Asset management is a state policy that all resources of the government shall be managed, expended, or utilized in accordance with the law and regulation, and safeguarded against loss or wastage through illegal or improper disposition, with view to ensuring economy, efficiency, and effectiveness in the operation of the government. So take note for this. In managing the property, it is also a continuous process in the government that can be generally clustered in three major steps, namely, so ito po yung property management. Meron pong three general clustered or three major steps. Acquisition, paano po siya na acquired. Utilization, paano po siya ginagamit. And disposal, paano po siya i-dispose. So, yun po yung three major steps in property management. The process ideally starts with the acquisition and ends with disposal. So, exemption po dito yung land asset wherein disposal is inappropriate. Paano ba naman i-dispose yung land? With these processes, numbers of activities to ensure efficiency. So, with these processes are number of activities to ensure efficiency, transparency, and accountability. Among these processes are inventory, storage, custodianship, and reporting. So, kailangan po ng proper inventory, proper storage, proper custodianship, and proper reporting to monitor the property acquired, and how paano siya ni-utilize, and kapag unserviceable na, paano siya i-dispose. So, phases of property and supply management. Ito po yung phases. Pag sinabi po nating acquisition, so nandiyan po si procurement, paano siya na-procure, delivery, and then inspection, acceptance of delivery. Kaya po sa mga property custodian, wag po tayong papayag na yung mga delivered properties, equipment, wala pong acceptance of delivery. Utilization, recording and maintaining preparation of issuance of documents, yung SC and PC, property card and stock card. Kapag stock card sa maintaining and recording below 15,000, kapag above 15,000, ilalagay naman sa property card. Preparation of issuance of documents. RIS, PAR, and ICS. Inventory, Custodian Slip, Property, yung PAR is Property. So on and so forth. Sa atin na lang yun. Preparation of Inventory Report, Semi-annual and Annual. So ayan po Semi-annual and Annual. Disposition, yung disposition, it's either transfer of property, sale of unserviceable. So, maaring pwedeng i-donate or pwedeng i-dispose talaga. So, the process looks like this. I want to show you. Ayan po. Yung proseso. From acquisition to utilization and disposal. Kita nyo? Okay. Yun lang. So, that's the property management cycle na tinatawag. Acquisition, utilization, and disposal. Property management, may laws and policies din po tayo dyan. Hindi pwedeng wala. Sa classroom nga may batas, how much more yung property management. Ano po yung policies, laws and policies in property management? Laws and policies guide agency in managing its properties. The Commission on Audit, or COA, being the responsible agency in accounting and auditing prescribed guidelines in property management, specific laws and issuances are also placed to standardize certain aspects of property management across the bureaucracy between. Even with the presence of these policies, laws, and guidelines, implementation still differs among the agency of the government depending on the size and structure, among others. So, yung implementation energy in property management, laws and policies, nagkakaiba-iba po sa mga government agencies, depending on the size, structure of it among the agencies. Role of supplying officer and the property custodian. Ito importante po sa mga property custodian. First, accept delivery, transfer, donation, duly signed, the contract, or donation and MOA. So, for the acceptance. Signs, inspection, and acceptance report. That's the second step. Third step, property custodian or supply officer should record delivery, transfer, donation through property card and stock card, duly inspected from a perfected PO or contract, formal turnover through IRP, or duly accepted or signed deed of donation. Fourth step is to prepare issuance documents, property acknowledgement, or receipt. So, yung PAR, property acknowledgement receipt, and ICS or inventory custodian slip. And fifth process is to conduct inventory taking and maintains property card and stock card. Then, the property custodian and supply officer should prepare inventory report including monitoring the actual location of asset, saan ba yung nakalagay, saan ginagamit, condition of asset, and person accountable, sinong nakapangalan dyan, kanino mo ipinangalan, as required by COA. Meron pong DepEd Memorandum Number 328 Series of 2009 regarding guidelines on the grant of vacation service credits to the teachers designated as district property custodian. So, alamin nyo na lamang po yung content nung para po sa mga property custodian, ano po yung content ng DepEd Memorandum Number 328 Series of 2009 para po sa inyo yan. Hindi ko na po tatalakayin kasi yung tatalakayin ko po is about property asset management or property management. Okay po. So, dito na po tayo sa utilization. To utilize. Paano po gamitin itong mga property acquired? Utilization of properties. When the government acquires a property, it may be further subjected to the different accountability mechanism, which are referred to as the process of custodian. Actual utilization occurs after the issuance of the items from storage or warehouse to end users, or when the item are received by the end user. Kaya kapag turn over na po sa atin itong mga facilities, hindi po natin dapat basta-basta na iniiwanan na lang, na hindi po natin iniingatan. Kayo na po yung accountable po dyan, as long as na-turn over na po sa atin. So, as long as na-i-issue na po natin, halimbawa sa mga classrooms, number one problem po yan, sa mga classrooms, na-issuehan ka ng maupuan, na-issuehan ka ng TV, for example, under na po ng pamamahalan nyo po yan, accountability nyo na po yan, pag nasira yung mga bagay na yan. So, ibig sabihin, kayo po yung mananagot kung mayroong mangyari po dyan. Kaya dapat ingatan po natin yan. Okay po. Hindi po dapat basta-basta na iniiwanan ng unsecured yung mga facilities. Ayan. I-utilize po natin ng maayos yung mga gamit. Government properties po yan. Different process in utilization. Custodianship, so storage, warehousing, inventory taking, issuance, and utilization. So po sa mga property custodian, usually in-store kung hindi pa ginagamit, nasa warehouse, pero regular inventory importante. And issuance and utilization. Ini-issue sa mga dapat gumamit ng mga items. Hindi rin pwedeng nakastock lang. Custodian. Property custodianship refers, okay, custodianship. Next item is custodianship. Property custodianship refers to the guardianship of government property by the person accountable. It includes, ano po yung mga dapat gawin ng isang property custodian? Ako po, parang ayaw ko na. Ito na yung mga gagawin ko daw. Ito na yung mga gagawin ko daw. Property custodianship refers to the guardianship of government property by the person accountable. It includes accountability, responsibility, and liability of the accountable or responsible officers arising from the loss, misuse, damage, or deterioration of government properties due to the fault or negligence of safekeeping. Kaya dapat ini-issue yung mga properties na yan. Every government officers whose duties permits or requires the position or custody of funds and properties is accountable and responsible for safekeeping. All accountable officers is liable for losses resulting to the unlawful, improper deposit, use of application thereof, and attributable to the negligence in the keeping of the property. So, pag na-dispose, pag na-issue, hindi na po yung negligence ni property custodian. Pero pag nasa kamay pa yan ni property custodian, accountable si property custodian. Pero pag nasa kamay mo na, bilang utilizer of that certain equipment, ipinasa na ni property custodian yung accountability. Okay? Ganyan lang tayo. Pasan lang ng accountability. Liability. It refers to the obligation that arises as a consequence of an illegal or improper act or the non-performance of what is mandated for such obligation. Generally comes in nature of penalty, but it could be in the form of fine, administrative punishment, imprisonment, or a combination. Kakatakot. The accountable officer is generally liable for the improper or unauthorized use of misapplication of property by himself or any person for whose acts he may be responsible, and for the loss, damage, or deterioration thereof through negligence, whether or not it be his actual custody at the time. Ayaw ko na nga mag-property custodian. Sir, ayaw ko na po. Kayo na lang po. Measure of liability or money value. The fair market value of the equipment will be chargeable to the officer or employee less some allowance for depreciation. An accountable officer is secondarily liable and superior primarily liable for an illegal act done by the former under direction of the latter. If the accountable officer gave written notice of his objections, the superior directive and the latter insist, she is relieved of liability and the superior becomes solely liable. So, anong sabi? Accountable officer gave written notice, or if the accountable officer give written notice of his objections to the superior's directive and later insist that she is relieved of liability and the superior becomes solely liable. So, yan ha. Pag nag-object ka na wala akong pananagutan dyan, the superior becomes solely liable. Alam mo na. Bonding of accountable officers. Pursuant to Treasury Circular Number 02/2009, immediately after appointment, designation of the accountable officer to a bonded position, she shall apply to the Bureau of Treasury Fiscal Examiner by accomplishing General Form Number 57, duly signed by the head of the agency. Inventory taking is an indispensable procedure for checking the integrity of property custodianship. The physical stock taking of equipment and supplies serves as a basis for preparing accounting report. At the end of each quarter, the accounting and supply or property unit should reconcile their records. The head of agencies through the inventory committee are required to take a physical inventory of all the equipment and supplies of their respective offices at least once a year. Supplies and materials in stock, including medicines, drugs, and medical supplies exclusively for either commissary, sale, manufacture or relief purposes should be inventoried at least every 6 months as of June 30 to December 31 of each year. 6 months. June 30 to December 31. Take note. Report on the physical count of inventory. The inventory committee shall prepare the certified correct and required annual, semi-annual inventory report and approved by the head of the agency, and it shall be submitted to the auditor concerned not later than July 31 and January 31 of each year. So yung aming lagi pong ginagawa yan ng aming physical facility coordinator. Report of the physical count of inventory. Tapos na. Report on the physical count of property, plant and equipment. The inventory committee shall prepare and certify correct the physical count of property, plant, and equipment, and approved by the head of the agency. It should be balance of the property and equipment per cards and per count, and storage shortage or overage, if any. It shall be prepared yearly in 3. It shall be submitted to the auditor concerned not later than January 31st of each year. Ginagawa rin po ng physical facility coordinator po namin yan. Storage, warehousing, and inventory taking. Storage, it refers to the scientific and economical receipt, warehousing, and issuance of materials for their best safekeeping and rapid availability. So, storage, warehousing, and inventory taking. Warehousing is a procedure in... Paano nga ba yung procedure pag sinabing warehousing? Receipt of materials and equipment and other property supplies. Materials and equipment delivered by the supplier must be accompanied by the delivery receipt or DR and sales invoice, which are pre-inspected by the property or supply officer before the items delivered are accepted. Arrangement of materials. The warehouseman or storekeeper arranges the materials inside the warehouse stockroom in accordance with the storage plan using the right material handling equipment. Okay? Recording of receipt or deliveries. The storekeeper post information taken from the inspection and acceptance report or IAR. Okay? Inspection and acceptance report. Importante po yan sa mga nagre-receive. The receipt issues and balances on hand must be properly posted and kept updated. Reconciliation of entries in the supplies ledger card with the physical count of stock on hand. Issuance and utilization. Issuance, ito po yung ginagawa ni property custodian minsan sa mga gagamit ng equipment. Act of transferring the custodianship of the property from one person to another. So, at least nabawas-bawasan yung burden ni property custodian. At least meron po siyang karamay. Halimbawa, inisyu ni property custodian si computers kay ICT coordinator dahil siya nakakaalam. Siya na ngayon yung mag-a-act ng custodianship ng ICT materials. Tama po ba? Utilization. However, utilization is the process of promoting greater services and economy in the use of supplies, materials, and equipment of the government through efficient and honest procurement, systematic and coordinated transfer of control and recording, proper care and maintenance, repair and appropriate and timely disposal. Okay po. Accountability over semi-expandable property. It should be issued to end user to establish accountability over them. Accountability shall be extinguished upon return of the item to the Property and Supply Division unit or in case of loss, upon approval of the relief from property accountability. Recording deliveries through stock and property card. Stock card or kagaya nga ng itinuro po sa amin, stock card, ito po dito po nire-record yung mga below 15,000 materials. Property card naman yung mga above 15,000 materials, or sometimes inventory custodian slip, yung pagre-record, or property acknowledgement receipt. So stock card is the expandable, semi-expandable, and equipment less than 15,000. Property card are plant and equipment which are greater than 15,000. So take note for that. Preparation of issuance of documents. So issuance, requisition and issue slip. The RIS or requisition and issue slip shall be distributed as follows: original, accounting division unit, copy, requesting office, copy 3, property and supply division unit. Note, for use of report of supply and materials issued, ang gagamitin is RSMI. Activities in property utilization. Issuance and acknowledgement of items. So, we use PAR and ICS. Yung PAR or Property Acknowledgement Receipt. Equipment office vehicle more than 15,000. Mga equipment or office equipment or vehicle na more than 15,000. Ang gagamitin po dyan sa issuance is PAR, Property Acknowledgement Receipt. Kapag non-consumable supplies including textbook, school furniture, office furniture, and office ICT equipment less than 15,000, ang ginagamit po dyan is inventory custodian slip. Disposal. So, number one problem po natin is to dispose. Pero disposal is the end of the life cycle of a government property. Ano ba yung objective ng disposal? Una, to avoid continuing carrying inventory costs. Second, to prevent further deterioration, thereby obtaining the fair return in case of sale. Third, to relieve accountable officers of unnecessary accountability. And last, to make available space for the agency. Determination of disposable property. Paano ba natin masasabi na disposable na isang property? 1, can no longer be repaired or reconditioned. 2, maintenance or repair costs more than or outweighs the benefits of the services. 3, has become obsolete or outmoded. 4, has been rendered unnecessary due to change in the agency functions or mandated. 5, in excess of requirements. And last, has become dangerous or hazardous to use. Modes of disposal. Paano i-dispose? It could be transfer of property, donation of property, and condemnation or destruction of property, unserviceable properties. And then, pwede ring sales of unserviceable property. So, appraisal. Appraisal is an art of estimating the fair exchange worth of the property as of a specified data or date supported by the relevant and factual data. Appraisal may be or may not be accurate depending on basic competence and integrity of appraiser, soundness and skill with which she uses the data, availability of pertinent data. So, nakadepende sa mga nabanggit yung appraisal. Appraised value is an estimate or opinion of value of described property as a specific date transmitted in writing or supported to relevant and factual data. Situations where appraisal is needed: transfer of ownership, financing and credit, basis for taxation or taxes, just compensation in sale or condemnation procedures. Principles in computing for the appraised value: unserviceable property at scrap junk value. When property is still operational, functional, or can be repaired. So may computation po dyan. When property is still operational, functional, or can be repaired. So I think pakita ko na lang po yung mga principles of computing for the appraised value and serviceable value. Pakita ko po sa inyo. Ayan po yung computation. When property is still operational and functional or can be repaired. Ayan po yung computation. When property is still operational, functional, or can be repaired. Ayan din po yung computation. Lastly, documentation. Importante po yung documentation. This form, the inventory and inspection report of unserviceable property or IIRUP or IRUP is issued for disposal of vehicles, office equipment, furniture, and other properties, plant, and equipment which can no longer be repaired or reconditioned, and whose maintenance cost of repair more than outweighs the benefits of and services that will be derived from its continued use. Waste materials report. This form shall be used to report all waste materials previously taken up in the books as asset, so that they may be properly disposed of and dropped from accounts. In the disposal of waste materials which results from the consumption or utilization of expendable materials and covers damaged equipment parts, empty containers, and remnant salvage from destroyed or damaged property, plant, and equipment. So, hopefully, may natutunan po tayo. May natutunan po ba about asset management? Especially sa mga schools, sa mga property custodians. Paano mo po natin i-utilize yung isang equipment, paano po natin i-acquire, at paano po natin i-dispose. So marami pong salamat sa panunood, and hopefully malaking makatulong po ito sa inyo. Marami pong salamat. Mabuhay po tayo. Mabuhay po tayo at magandang buhay sa lahat.